Genesis, the Korean answer to Lexus, began life as a single model sold by Hyundai. So how did it become a standalone brand, making some of the most interesting luxury cars on sale, and desperately trying to find its place in a market that so many manufacturers are now trying to enter? And what does the future hold with Hyundai and Kia having so much expertise in the EV market? As always, if you enjoy, please like and subscribe. The name Genesis began with the Hyundai Genesis, a luxury car sold by a Korean brand, mainly targeted at North America. It was Hyundai's first foray into the world of luxury cars, and it was first seen as a concept in 2007. However, the process began all the way back in 2003, and the whole cost of development was an astounding $500 million, with its reliability testing lasting 800,000 miles. It's fair to say Hyundai needed the Genesis to be a success. The production Genesis went on sale in 2008 in everywhere but Europe. It featured Hyundai's first domestic V8 in the form of the 4.6 litre TAO engine, which produced up to 385 horsepower in a later update. This meant the Genesis could accelerate to 60 in less than 5.5 seconds. There were two V6 options as well, depending on the market, and these provided more fuel economy and less performance. All of the first generation cars were rear wheel drive and featured rack and pinion steering and 6-speed automatic gearboxes. Performance wasn't the main aim, but it definitely wasn't an afterthought. Hyundai were more focused on making the Genesis luxurious and offered a generous level of standard equipment. This included cruise control, automatic headlights, leather upholstery and heated seats. Keyless entry and remote start weren't particularly prevalent at the time, so they were a welcome addition. The Genesis was also one of the safest cars on the road, winning an award for its performance in crash tests. From 2011, there were a few changes to the lineup. The R-Spec featured a new 5-litre engine with 429 horsepower. It's also got 19-inch alloys, sport suspension and an 8-speed automatic box. The 4.6 model got upgraded standard equipment that was previously optional, such as a navigation screen, a cooled driver's seats and parking assistance features. In 2012, all models got the 8-speed transmission, and there were upgrades to the navigation system. The final upgrades came in 2014, just before the second generation, in the form of greater connectivity options, larger wheels as standard, and a new colour. The first generation was a success for Hyundai, with around 170,000 sold over 6 years. This coupe was based in the saloon, but never sold as well, and had little part to play in Genesis becoming a standalone brand. The second generation of the Genesis is where the new brand really began. It featured new tech and updated styling with Genesis badges. It included a similar choice of engines and similarly good safety scores. In November 2015, Genesis was announced as a standalone brand. Hyundai said this was down to the popularity of a luxury car, being in the top 3 bestsellers in the luxury market, and a desire from buyers to see a lineup of Genesis models. The first model from the new brand and their flagship was launched in 2015. The G90 is an executive saloon with a luxurious interior. The front looks like the second gen Hyundai Genesis, while the rear is reminiscent of a Mercedes. The interior features swathes of leather and a cabin that has been likened to that of a Bentley. The base model used a 3.3 litre V6 and the Ultimate utilised a 5 litre V8. The 2018 facelift was a radical shift, but brought the styling we're now accustomed to from Genesis in the form of a bold front grille and masses of chrome. The second generation came in 2021 with 2-line headlights in line with the rest of the range. A 2-line light bar also features at the rear, meaning few cars are as distinctive as the G90. The addition of a long wheelbase model adds the option for more space in the rear, as Genesis seems to intend for it to be driven by chauffeurs. This is shown by the passenger seat, which can move forwards electrically for more rear space, and the rear seats are more akin to those in a private jet than anything else road going. There is just one engine, a 3.5 litre turbo V6. The long wheelbase gets a mild hybrid system. Sales of the G90 were never going to set the world on fire due to its price, though it's cheaper than competitors from more established brands. Almost all sales have come from South Korea, and around 135,000 have been sold worldwide prior to this year. The second model under the Genesis name was the G80. It was essentially a facelifted Hyundai Genesis with similar engine choices. The G80 Sport was a faster, more aggressive model using a 3.3 litre V6 with some sportier features outside and more luxurious features within. The second generation was revealed in 2020, and just like the second G90, it changed to follow the design of other models. The large chrome grille and two line lights feature, but the rear design is less outrageous. The shape is slicker than its bigger brother with a fastback design. Inside, the dash layout is similar, and the use of Napa leather and wood trim means that the G80 isn't too dissimilar to the more expensive G90. The G80 Sport received a more aggressive body kit and a new deep red colour. The G80 is also responsible for the first EV from Genesis. The electrified G80 is what it says on the tin. With an 87 kWh battery and two motors, it has a range of around 300 miles. Sticking with the theme of sustainability, it has plenty of recycled materials inside. The 2024 facelift brought a new pattern in the grille and new wheels, as well as hidden exhaust tips. Inside, there's a new steering wheel, gear selector, and a 27-inch screen replaces the two previous ones. The G80 Sport has new front and rear bumpers, faux carbon finish inside, and larger air intakes. The G80 has sold really well for Genesis, with over 52,000 being sold last year and over 400,000 being sold since 2016. This is due to offering most of the luxury of the G90, but at a lower price. The next car to come from Genesis was the G70. It's the brand's compact saloon and completes a trilogy of luxury saloons. It was launched in 2017 and the design was similar to the other Genesis models, and it's clear that contemporary Hyundai styling cues were still very present. Inside there was leather, soft plastic and plenty of buttons to make a simple but luxurious interior. There were the typical engine choices, the 2 litre and 3.3 litre engines being seen again. However, the 2 litre diesel was unique, and it was the only G70 to use a manual gearbox, though it was axed in 2022. Slight infotainment upgrades came in the following years, and 2020 saw the facelift arrive. The exterior needs no introduction, featuring identical styling to other models. The interior reinforces that the G70 is a baby Genesis saloon. A year later came the shooting brake model. This came with a longer and more sloping roofline and a more bulbous rear end. The styling is slightly awkward though, and boot space wasn't improved enough for buyers to be convinced by the estate. On the topic of sales, G70 sales have been decent but far from great. Excluding years when production was massively affected, Genesis has sold over 20,000 per year, whereas they're yet to sell 1,000 shooting brakes in a calendar year. The first Genesis SUV, the GV80, went on sale at the start of 2020. It was built on a new chassis and features plenty of aluminium parts. It was available with a 2.5 litre engine, a turbocharged 3.5 litre petrol engine, whilst the only diesel was a turbo 3 litre. Inside, it previewed the interiors of top models to come, with a setback infotainment screen and quirky steering wheel. The 2023 update included some fairly subtle styling changes and a screen seen in the G80, as well as a new steering wheel. The coupe was also announced on the same day, with sportier touches inside and out, and the option of a faster 3.5 litre turbo engine with an electric supercharger. Being an SUV, sales have been predictably good. Genesis has sold over 40,000 every year and shifted over 56,000 of them last year. The next SUV to enter the Genesis lineup was the GV70. There's little to talk about here, as it used an almost identical design to GV80, both inside and out. The electrified model came a year later, in 2022, and came with a dual motor, all-wheel drive setup. Range is up to 283 miles. The 2024 refresh recently went on sale in Korea, and it features a slightly changed front end and new wheels. Inside, the 27-inch screen from other models is also added. Sales-wise, this is the most popular Genesis. They've sold over 50,000 each year. with 56,000 being sold in 2023. The last and most radical Genesis to launch was the GV60 in 2021. It's the first bespoke EV made by Genesis using the eGMP platform used by the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6. It has a design that differs from other Genesis models, with a lack of a prominent front grille as it's electric and a rear end that isn't as recognisable as a Genesis. As it's the junior model, there's the use of some plastic trim on the exterior too. Inside, it also veers away from other models from the Korean luxury brand. There's a less premium ambience with a cheaper looking centre console and a more generic touchscreen. All models use a 77.4 kWh battery, and the rear wheel drive model has the furthest range, up to 321 miles. The all-wheel drive models are faster, with the performance model doing 0 to 62 in just 4 seconds, although its range takes a hit at 290 miles. Sales have been stellar, but nothing special, with Genesis selling just over 21,000 in the last 2 years. So that's the past of Genesis. What's the future? Well, they have some ambitious plans to move into the performance sector as well. The different X concepts over the years showed a desire to make a Grand Tourer, and their Magma subdivision plans are certainly ambitious, with high performance versions of the G80 and GV60 on the way, and a GV80 Coupe a possibility. They recently also announced they will provide track taxis at the Nürburgring, further showing their intent on stepping into the world of speed. So then, that's the story of Genesis, from a car to a company. They certainly make some of the most intriguing luxury vehicles on sale right now, offering great comparative value for money. Their ambition to be taken seriously as a performance brand is admirable, but will be tough. But if they can create performance cars as unique as their luxury vehicles, they may stand a chance.